What if Zahir had used Mako as the hostage to lure Korra? Because Mako and Bolin are great friends of Korra, so Zahir could have just used one of them to lure Korra to him. So what Zahir could have done is let Bolin go and warn Korra and kept Mako as a hostage. So Zahir would keep Mako as a hostage, and Bolin would be set free, and Bolin would go find Korra and Asami, and I think Bolin would still rescue his family from the fire, and then go find Korra and Asami. And Korra and Asami, and Hanrock and Lin and Zuko, and Bolin would be crying, and he would tell Korra what happened, and Korra would want to go rescue Mako, and so Korra would want to turn herself in. And in this case, since they're only saving Mako, it might be easier or harder for the heroes to save Mako. Because when they were trying to save all the airbenders, it was very hard because they were trying to get all the airbenders in alive, and so since there's so many of them, since there's so much at stake, it's a lot harder to do. Whereas if they're trying to save one person, it seems easier, but at the same time, that means more attention and more priority is on that one person, and the bad guys are keeping a closer eye on that one person, so it might be harder to rescue. So I think Korra would still turn herself in, but the heroes would come up with a brilliant plan to rescue Mako. Now, in this scenario, let's say Gazan uses lava bending, but Bolin suddenly figures out lava bending, and Bolin uses lava bending to melt Gazan, and maybe Mako gets free and electrocutes Ming-Hua and she dies. And meanwhile, the Metal Clan meanwhile, Lin and Su take down Pali. In that case, Zahir would maybe escape because he would still learn how to fly. And so maybe he would still capture Korra, or maybe he wouldn't. Who knows? It's really hard to think about how this would turn out. Let's just say that for argument's sake, nothing changes and Korra still gets poisoned but still survives or something. Like, it's harder to say like how the scenario would turn out. Overall, I don't think it would change much if Mako was the hostage versus the air nomads, because Korra would still care a lot about Mako, so I don't think it would change much in the grand scheme of things, but logistically, things would change drastically, and it would be a lot harder or a lot easier. And I think the chances of Mako dying might be high. Maybe the chances of Korra dying might be high, so who knows. But the reason I bring this up is because the Red Lotus kidnapping the entirety of the air nomads was a bit inefficient, if you ask me, because you already have two of Korra's friends as hostages, so you can just use one of them or both of them as bait to get Korra to come to you because she cares about her friends. Like, come on. These Mako and Bolin, you could just use them. Like, you already have two hostages right there, so why do you have to fly all the way to the Northern Air Temple and get all the hostages and capture them and think about and keep holding them there and having to fight with Tenzin and all that? Like, you could just avoid all that by using the hostages you have. So if you look closely and right in front of you, the answer is right there, and you don't have to struggle and work to do some very hard mental gymnastics. Like, I get it. Threatening to wipe out the entire air nomad culture is much of a bigger threat and is bound to get the Avatar to intervene, but you already have two hostages that you can use in the form of Mako and Bolin, so it would be a lot more efficient if you just use these guys rather than go all the way to the Northern Air Temple, like, or just keep Mako and Bolin and also kidnap the air nomads. Like, come on. Like, and it was a very bad idea to let Mako and Bolin go, because Mako and Bolin are the reason that Ming-Hua and Gazan died, because if they had never been set free, they wouldn't have been in the air temple, and Bolin might have not figured out lava bending soon enough. So, and if Mako hadn't been free, he wouldn't have been able to electrocute Ming-Hua. So Zahir basically cost the lives of Ming-Hua and Gazan, if you really think about it, in that way. And it was inefficient to try and get all the airbenders, so it would have been efficient for the Red Lotus to just take Mako and Bolin as the hostages.